Hello again and welcome to the Warhammer 40k Imperial Guard Tactics video. Now before we get into today's video, I want to say a super huge thank you to Dustin Boyd, hope I am pronouncing that correctly, for sending in some follow-up pictures of his Beastman Guard army. I think it was a couple of months ago, maybe a little longer, when Dustin sent in sort of the first couple of squads that he'd completed, and now he's really expanded it out, got what looks like a whole platoon of infantry, and some really cool vehicles. I tell you what, I absolutely love the effects on the barrels, especially the Chimera barrel. It looks absolutely fantastic. It's a really nice glowing sort of orangey yellow effect, and I do just overall really like the core concept. Now, those of you who might be saying, "Oh, Beastman Guard, how does that work?" No, there is actually. It's quite old. It sort of harkens back to sort of second, third edition fluff, but used to be able to get beastmen who worked in the Imperial Guard, and they were mutants. They were basically trying to find redemption, because obviously mutants aren't really accepted by the Emperor unless they die for him. So it's actually a really cool sort of throwback themed army, retro themed army, and I really like it. So thank you very much for sending in these really cool pictures, Justin. Thank you for keeping us updated. As obviously the army grows, I'd be more than happy for you to keep sending pictures in. That would be really, really cool. We can sort of follow this project along as it develops. If anyone else has any cool pictures they want to send in, then please post on my Facebook page. There will be a link down in the description below. I generally advise you to put them on Facebook because it means loads of people can see it and you get lots of likes, which is always feel good. And also it's what I check more regularly. I check it more regularly than my emails. Facebook's much easier for me to check. So yeah, post them on there, and if I like them, then I will use them in my video. Anyway, 2 minutes of waffling already, but these pictures did deserve a little bit more chatting about them, because they're really cool. It's a really cool project. Anyway, let's crack on with the video. Now, had a really good debate on one of the videos I put up last week regarding special weapon squads. Now, it's because I was saying that I don't like to put expensive weapons in my heavy weapon squads, and I like to have sort of grenade launchers and plasma guns. I like to have my plasma guns in my regular infantry squads, and I don't really like special weapon squads because I find that they die very easily and they're a very high priority target. So having this back and forth, and some people were sort of putting forward their case, which is, well, it's only 45 points or something for one of these special weapon teams, and you get 3 plasma guns, you'd be kind of mad not to take it. And yeah, to a certain degree, I do agree with some of the points that were made. But here is sort of my pros and cons, and the reasons why I personally don't use special weapon teams. Okay, and I'm not saying they're a bad choice, but these are my sort of thoughts on the unit. Okay. The special weapon team, it's 6 guys, it's 4 points per guy, 24 points, and then you add on your 21 points for your 3 plasma guns, and then you got 45 point unit, 6 wounds, very nice. Now, the problem I have is that those plasma guns are going to be very easy to kill. Now, bear in mind that the special weapon squads that were being discussed were in relation to my pure infantry army. So those plasma guns are going to be really easy for someone to just kill. Just guarantee what's going to happen is turn 1, my opponent is going to see 3 squads of special weapon guys with plasma guns in each one, and he's just going to kill all 3. Because it's not hard for my opponent to kill 18 guardsmen. It's not hard at all. It is quite hard for me to try and keep them alive. Okay, and plasma guns are quite distinctive. I mean, you kind of have to paint them up with sort of the gold or silver barrels with the big blue plasma coils. Plasma guns are a very distinctive weapon, so you're not really going to be able to hide them. Now, some people did. Someone did make the argument. I think it was Ollie who made the argument that, well, you could just hide your special weapon team. And it's like, if you're having to hide a unit, and it's not a unit that's capping an objective, it's one of your damage dealing units, then it's not really, it's a waste of points. If you've got a damage dealing squad, then you, and especially if we're running, like I said, remember, think of this in terms of pure infantry. You can't really afford to have units hiding. You have to have everything going from turn one. And that's something that I mentioned in one of my videos, which is you have to have everything going at the enemy turn one. You have to as a pure infantry commander. You have to, because otherwise you just don't win. As a pure infantry commander, you have to have the pressure on the enemy from turn one. Having units hidden is not a good idea. And the reason I like to put my plasma guns in my infantry squads instead is because it allows me, it makes them so much more resilient. Because you've got a plasma gun and a las cannon, which is 2 people out of a 9 model squad, because the las cannon is 1 model, which means you've got 7 ablative wounds. Especially if you're running things like commissars or lord commissars, you really don't need your sergeant. And I find it a lot of the time that I would actually take my sergeant off first, because I'm always gonna. It's just a waste of time versus the lasgun guy who's gonna get 4 shots. So that's why I like to. That's why when I'm running pure infantry, I like to protect my high value weapons. I put my las cannons in my infantry squads. I put my plasma guns in my infantry squads. Okay. Because if I put those in special weapon teams and I put them in heavy weapon teams, they just get annihilated instantly. It's just so easy for the enemy to kill them. Now, bear in mind, I want to make, I've mentioned this a couple times, but I really want to hammer this home. I was purely arguing from the standpoint of running these special weapon squads in an all infantry army. If we take a look at special weapon squads in a hybrid guard list or even a mech guard list, then they become a really attractive option. Really, really attractive, because you can protect them, but in a way that works. Okay, so rather than protecting them by having them like trying to hide out of line of sight and blah blah blah, what you do is you stick them in transports, because they're 6-man squads, right? Which means you can fit 2 of them in 1 chimera. Now, if you take 2 chimeras and you take 3 special weapon squads, all with plasma, okay, and then you still have 6 slots left over, and then you take like a company commander and an astropath in, and maybe even a platoon commander. And you take all those and you put them in 2 chimeras, then you can just jump these 3 squads out. You have the astropath there who can remove cover on a unit, and then all your plasma guns can fire into. You can get them all to reroll 1s with the take aim order. And if you're Cadian, you can start getting those special weapon teams hitting on 3s. So you've got 9 plasma guns, so 18 plasma gun shots hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. You could even have the company commander with the laws of command in there. Good chance that you'd get off reroll 1s to hit and bring it down, reroll 1s to wound. So that is how I would use special weapon teams. Okay, I wouldn't use them in a pure infantry army. They're too easy to kill. The reason I have heavy weapon teams in my pure infantry army, it's because they're a bit of a distraction kind of effect. But that's why I give them auto cannons, because they're cheap, but they're really effective. They're these big auto cannons are big chunky weapons. People hear the word cannon and they're like, right, they need to die. But actually they're cheap and they do okay. But the best thing about auto cannons is if your opponent doesn't deal with them because he goes, oh, it's just auto cannons, and he's taking like 18 auto cannon shots a turn. But special weapons, like I said, they just die. They're not as good. But I guess, I'm not really... and I guess my final thing is, going back to special weapons, which is the reason why I don't take them pure infantry. I guess my final thing is, it's not like I'm short on slots for special weapons. if you think about it, I'm taking like 18 infantry squads. That's 18 special weapons that I have access to. And you have to. The last thing I want to say is it's very important when you're running an all infantry army to get the balance between quantity and quality. If you have, and I'll tell you what taught me this really, really well, is my Black Templars. And I'm trying not to get distracted here, but if you have when I was building my Black Tide, a lot of people were telling me you only want to take the 5-man Crusader squads and you want to give them a combi plasma, a plasma, and a las cannon. And when I was trying that, what I was finding is that I had lots of special weapons, but not a lot of bodies. Okay? And what I was finding was that the best, a lot of people were saying you take big 20-man squads. But then what I was finding with big 20-man Crusader squads was that I didn't have enough special weapons. I had plenty of guys, but they weren't doing any damage. And the same thing kind of applies to special weapon squads in an all-infantry army. Like, I like putting them in my infantry squads because it's a nice balance between having bodies and firepower. Special weapon squads provide you with the firepower, but not the bodies. They're very fragile, very easy to kill. They've only got a 24-inch range with those plasma guns. So, long story short, I don't think special weapons work in an all-infantry army. I don't think they work very well. I think that they're likely to maybe get a few shots off, but then just get swept away. I think special weapon squads are fantastic in an army that has a proper delivery system for them. Like any small, high damage output unit, they need a delivery system. And this is the last thing I want to... so I'll tell you one thing that could work. What could work is if you had a Talon detachment. And that Talon detachment, that was a Vanguard detachment, and you took 1 HQ and 3 or 4 other unit choices, 3 special weapon squads in this case, and then use the Talon stratagem to ambush them all, outflank them all, and throw in the Dagger of Tushaka, or whatever it is, so you can have another a whole bunch of stuff outflanking. And that would work. That's getting pure infantry special weapon squads. They're outflanking. That would work. That would work. But that is one specific way that I can think of making it work. One thing I do want to say, something I've seen work weirdly effective, was Mordian special weapon teams in Valkyries. Okay, so what I saw this guy do, it was on the Long War channel. It's a while ago now. What I saw this guy do is he had 2 Valkyries, and in each Valkyrie had a command squad, a special weapon squad, a company commander, and an astropath. Or a primaire psych. I think it was an astropath because he was removing cover. Yeah, astropath. And he flew these things forward and he grav-shooted everyone out. Or he got them out. I think he flew them forward and everyone got out and no one broke their legs, which was good. And then what he did, which I found really interesting, is because what he was trying to do is he was trying to take out like a couple of enemy demon princes, because this person was just moving up demon princes behind a whole bunch of chaff units, and he wanted to get rid of these demon princes before they could start hacking his tanks apart and tying them up. So what it is, he flew these 2 Valkyries forward, got his command squads out, his special weapon squads out, and his commander and astropath. And what he did is he used the Mordian order, which for the life of me I can't remember now. I think it's called like firing squad, and it lets you target characters with rapid fire weapons, and plasma guns are all rapid fire weapons. And so he actually had, going to each demon prince, he had 4 veteran plasma guns and 3 regular plasma guns, all rapid fire range. So he had 14 plasma shots going to each demon prince, and I think he got them both overcharged. I think he got them both, which is really good. And that's something that's a really interesting way that I had never considered special weapons teams to be used before. So that's a really interesting way. So not only So I wouldn't recommend them in a foot-sucking army. I would recommend them in a mechanized army, and I would recommend them. Sort of an orthodox way of using them would be as a Mordian character sniper squad, which is really cool. Anyway, guys, tell me what you think about special weapon teams. Try and convince me otherwise. If you can give me some really compelling arguments. I mean, I've thought about that whole Talon outflanking thing, but I just don't think special weapons can make it in a pure infantry army. But I think they're really, really good in a mechanized army or another army which has bigger threats. Like, to be honest, when you think about it, your opponent, if you've got like 3 or 4 Leman Russes and then a couple of special weapon squads mixed in, your opponent's probably going to get tunnel vision on the Leman Russes, and your special weapon squads might survive a turn or two. Maybe. But that's a hybrid army. Anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave lots of comments, and I'll see you guys next time.